Hello, my name is Chris and today I'm answering your questions about quitting smoking. Questions like, what are the most effective methods of quitting? Like, if we have a relapse, how much of a setback really is that? And questions like, what advice could I give to someone who is at the very start of their quit smoking journey? A lot of these questions have come from you guys down in the comments on my other videos. Thank you for those, they are always appreciated. Others have come from members of our new Finding Freedom Facebook group, where we are all getting together to support one another on our journey towards becoming smoke free. We're building this awesome community of people who are reaching out and helping one another to stay smoke free, and we would love for you to come and join us. You can search for Finding Freedom on Facebook. We are the Quit Smoking Finding Freedom, not the other groups, or I'll put the direct link down in the description below for you. Go and join that and then come back here and I'll get into answering your questions about quitting smoking. Okay, our first question comes from Kristen, and I wrote it down so I made sure I get it right. Kristen asks, after you quit smoking, how do you come down from a hard day in a way that is as satisfying as a drink or a cigarette? This is an awesome question. I want to start by answering it with another question, which is that drink or is that cigarette really satisfying, or is it just a temporary quick fix to change the way that you feel? I'm not going to give you the answer, it's just something I want you to think about. I get it completely. You have a hard day, maybe you've had a hard day at work or looking after the kids or whatever it may be, and at the end you're tense, you're tired, you feel totally drained and defeated. A cigarette or alcohol gives you that immediate jolt. It's quickly, boom, changes the way you feel. But I know for me, that immediate way of changing the way I felt would eventually wear off and I'd just go back to feeling how I felt originally. Since I quit drinking and quit smoking, I found ways that work for me to come down, to de-stress, to unwind after a hard day in a way that does give me that immediate jolt, that immediate transformation of the way I feel, but that also makes me feel better long term. It's not like a cigarette where I'd have one and I might get a quick fix, but then an hour later I need another quick fix and another. These are things that I do that help me to sort of unwind and stay unwound for the rest of the evening or for however long it is. Some of these might sound a little out there, but I want you to try them anyway because they just might work for you. The first one is to go and take a shower or jump in the bath. I do this, and it's not just standing there with the water dripping, have a quick wash and get out. It's get in the shower and be really mindful about that experience and treat it as if you are literally cleansing yourself of the day. I always call it washing away the stench of the day. Like all the arguments that I've had that have gotten under my skin, I'm scrubbing them out. All the stress that has weaved its way into me, I'm scrubbing that out. I'm washing away all the things that made it such a hard day. I'm becoming clean and refreshed and new. I had this yesterday. I've had quite a few hard days this past 2 weeks, and yesterday around 4 or 5 p.m. I stopped what I was doing. I went and had a shower and I really scrubbed away. Not in a way that is painful or violent, just really thorough wash. I washed my hair, I got out of the shower, I brushed my teeth, I flossed, I shaved, cut my toenails, cut my fingernails, and changed into some warm, comfy clothes, and it's like I am refreshed, I am brand new. All the stench of the day, all the hard stuff has gone, and I feel better, and I felt relaxed and calm, not just in that moment, not just temporarily, but for the rest of that day. Another thing I recommend is laughter. They do say laughter is the best medicine, and I totally agree with that. I'm not talking about a little giggle, I'm talking about the kind of full-on belly laughter where you pee yourself. Laughter, I find it completely disarming. If you are stressed and you're tense and something really makes you just laugh out loud, it is completely disarming and you just relax and you feel so much better. The third thing is to go and do that thing that you love, that brings you joy, that makes the hours just pass away. A hard day stops being a hard day when you spend it doing things that bring you joy. Of course it can be exercise. Exercise is great for beating stress and getting the dopamine going, but it could be anything. It could be creative stuff, cooking, playing music, listening to music. I did that yesterday after my shower. I put my favourite music on and had a dance around for a little while and felt so much better for it. Go and do that thing that you love to do and that brings you joy. Do it unapologetically and unashamedly, because you deserve it. Next, I'm going to round up a couple of questions that are all around a similar theme of smoking cessation tools and devices and methods and things like that. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, Mishari or Mizari. In one of the comments on my YouTube videos asked me, does Champix work? On Facebook, John asked me what methods, in my opinion, are the most effective ways to quit smoking. And I've had similar questions about that, like about nicotine replacement and Champix and different methods of quitting smoking. I could and probably will at some point make a whole video just about this. For now, my short answer is that all of these ways of quitting smoking are effective and work in as much as they do what they are designed or what they are supposed to do. So Champix is supposed to stop the nicotine from hitting the receptors in your brain that create that change in the way we feel. Nicotine replacement is supposed to replace the nicotine that you normally get from cigarettes so that you can break the physical habit and then wean yourself off the nicotine. It does what it's supposed to do. However, there is no one single magical cure. I don't know of a single method of quitting smoking that has a 100% success rate for everybody. Different people respond better to different things. And the best way is to explore different ones and maybe do some trial and error. The worst thing that can happen is that you try something and it doesn't work for you. But please note that even if you find something and it is the most effective way to help you quit smoking, that is all it's going to do is help you. It's not a magical cure that is going to do the quit for you. It's like if I asked you to dig me a hole. You could drop to your knees and shove your hands in the earth and scrape away at the dirt until you have a hole. Or you could go to the shed and grab a spade and you could dig the hole that way. Using the spade would make it a lot easier, but you still have to manually put the effort in and you still have to dig that hole. The spade doesn't, you don't just set the spade down, it automatically digs it and you don't have to do anything. And quitting smoking is like that. We can use things like Champix or nicotine replacement and things like that to help with our bodies, to change the relationship between our physical body and the cigarette and the reactions it does. But in my experience and the experiences of a lot of people I've spoken to, the hardest part of quitting smoking is the stuff that goes on up here. It's the mental side of it. And as far as I know, there are no patches, pills, lotions or potions that are going to help with that mental side of it. That comes down to me and you. To you, to me, to him, to her. To do this on our own. Yes, the tools can help. But when you get to the other side of this quit, and you will get there, trust me, I have every faith in you. When you get to the other side of your quit, you can only give so much credit to whatever tool you use. Most of it is going to come from within you, and that's a good thing. Again, my recommended answer is to try different methods. For me, I used Champix, but I also used things like Neuro-Linguistic programming, and I read books. I did read the Alan Carr book and used some of the philosophies in that, and I sort of combined different things into finding one solution that worked for me. And I made videos about these, that I've shared in the past. So I do have the Champix review that I posted earlier this year. I did the 5 things to take away from Alan Carr's book. I also shared some of the neuro-linguistic programming techniques, including the one where we change the body's physical relationship with cigarettes by associating cigarettes with things that just disgust us and repel us. That's called something like Powerful Technique for Quitting Smoking. Clickbait title, I know, I'm sorry. But that is if you want to go and check that out, you can do. There is also now, for those of you who are on my new Patreon, I've just uploaded an MP3 streaming version of that, so that if you want to take that away and listen to it in your own time and maybe visualize stuff, you can do that as well. So if you are on my Patreon, it is patreon.com/Chris Scoyles. That audio version of this Powerful Technique for Quitting Smoking is on there. Vicky asks me what tips or suggestions I could give to someone who is at the very start of their quit smoking journey. And the first tip that I could give is to go and watch a video I posted a few weeks ago called Stoptober Quick Tips for Quitting Smoking, in which I talk about this very thing. I think I've shared like 4 tips in that video that are specifically for people who are in the early days or early weeks of quitting smoking. But if there's one top tip that I could give you, if there's one piece of advice that I think is more important than any other, it is this. Focus on the here and now and keep it in the day. It is very easy, at any stage, but especially in the early stages of quitting smoking, to get swept up worrying about what we'll do if the withdrawal process gets really intense and not pleasant. Notice I said if, not when, because it doesn't get really intense for everybody. We get swept up in worrying about what we'll do if we find ourselves in a certain social situation, or how will we react to this, or what will we do when this happens. We start worrying and questioning whether we'll even have it in us in the first place, whether we're even cut out to be able to survive this quit smoking journey. And all that worry and all that doubt and all that stress can have us reaching for a cigarette just to change the way we feel and just to get rid of that stress. Obviously, that's the opposite of what we want. Yes, it is helpful to an extent to prepare for things that might be on our mind. Like if we know, okay, we've got a big wedding coming up and everybody's going to be smoking at this wedding, how am I going to cope? Or I find myself in a situation where I'm likely to be triggered. It is helpful to an extent to prepare for that, to maybe devise some strategies to get some solutions together, but only to that extent. The more we worry about it and the more we sort of play it on our minds, we're only making things harder on ourselves. Quitting smoking is hard enough without piling on all the extra stress of what will happen here and what am I going to do a month from now or 2 weeks from now or even a couple of days from now. We don't have to quit smoking forever. In fact, quitting smoking forever is impossible, because forever is, how would we even measure that? Forever will keep going even after we're dead. That's a happy thought, isn't it? But we can quit smoking for today. Or if we can't even quit smoking for today, we can quit smoking until lunchtime, or for the next hour, or for the next 30 minutes or 10 minutes. We can quit smoking until the end of this video, and we can take it one day at a time and deal with these challenges and deal with these struggles if and when they occur. And when we take these small little steps, when we take it bit by bit and deal with things as they come to us, one day we'll look back and we'll be so far ahead of where we ever thought we could be, and we'll wonder what we were worrying about in the first place. Slobodan asked me, when the physical withdrawal was gone, was that the time when your desire to smoke was also gone, or even after that, were there certain triggers that may have made you start smoking again? So yeah, what we're getting at is, after I quit smoking and I was no longer getting withdrawal symptoms, was that it? Was I completely free forever, or were there things where I may have been tempted to smoke or just thought about smoking ever again? That desire, that word desire, it's a very loaded, very powerful word. There was certainly no desire for me to ever smoke again. There was no part of me that thought, yeah, I'm going to just throw all this hard work down the drain and start smoking again, and it'll be better this time. I'll benefit from it. There was no desire, but there were occasions where my brain reverted to default, and I've shared in other videos, for the longest time my default setting was, I don't feel good, I'll have a cigarette to change the way that I feel. So there were occasions when I would revert to default and feel like I needed a cigarette to change the way that I felt or to deal with certain situations. In my first year of being smoke-free, my first full year, a close friend of mine passed away, and then two of my grandparents passed away, all within the span of about 5 months. So it was all very close together, and it was very stressful and very upsetting, and my emotions were all over the place. And at times, yes, there was something in me where I felt like, oh my goodness, I need to change the way that I feel, and I know that a cigarette will do that. But I didn't do it because there was no desire to. There was no, like, I knew in my heart and in my mind that it wouldn't actually, do anything. I couldn't smoke and bring my friend back or bring my grandma back or anything like that. I made a video about that. It was called something like Depression and Quitting Smoking. You know where the links are by now. They're down in the description. But I can say that after that passed, there was no, in the second year of quitting smoking, there was no desire, there were no triggers. I haven't faced anything this year that has made me think about a cigarette. I have had challenges, and I have had ups and I have downs like everybody does. But I think going through that situation, that really terrible situation where people passed away and not smoking, it was actually a good experience in a way, because now when I go through stressful situations, nothing feels quite as stressful as that. If I can get, through losing people I love and not smoking, then I can get through a bad day at work or an argument with a girlfriend or something like that. Next is Farid, and they say, hey Chris, can you speak a little about relapse? I quit 9 days ago and had a bad day on the 6th day. I've since quit again, but how much of a setback can this be? Farid, when you say this, I'm assuming when you say you had a bad day on the 6th day, you mean you smoked again, you relapsed, and now you're back on it. And how much of a setback can this relapse be? My answer is that a relapse can be as much or as little of a setback as you decide to make it. If you decide that your relapse is an opportunity to beat yourself up, to tell yourself, I failed, I'm weak, I can't do this, to pile all that negative stuff on you, then yes, it is going to hold you back, because you'll start doubting your ability to quit, and you may even quit quitting altogether. If you use that relapse as proof that you can't do it, then it becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy. If you say, well, there you go, that's proof that I'm unable to quit, at least unable to quit long term, then you will end up self-sabotaging, you will ruin your own chances. If, on the other hand, you use your relapse as an opportunity to learn and to grow, then it doesn't have to be a setback at all, but can probably be more powerful and more helpful in your quit journey than any pill, patch, lotion, potion, or any book that you can read or any YouTube video that you can watch. Now that you've had that relapse, you can look back on that experience and say, okay, what can I learn from this? What did I do on that day that didn't work? What can I do differently? If I find myself having a bad day again, what can I do differently from what I did last time that will help me get through that day smoke-free? There are lots and lots of things that we can learn from a relapse that can help us. It doesn't have to be a setback. It can be if you choose to make it one, but it doesn't have to be. Again, I made a video about this. It is called 4 Lessons to Learn from a Relapse. You know where the thing is by now. The link is down in the description below. Finally, we come to Melissa, and I'll just get my phone out so that I can remember Melissa's question properly. Melissa asked me, can you discuss expectations that people may have? I'm 81 days in and find it troubling that I still get cravings. I know every person is different, but sometimes I think this shouldn't be happening now. Okay, if you are at this stage, if you are like Melissa, or if you are Melissa, hi Melissa, then the first thing I want you to do is to go and watch the video I posted a few weeks ago called Important Message. Clickbait titles, don't you love them? I'm just joking. In this important message, I talked about how wherever you are on your journey, that is where you're supposed to be, and it is perfectly okay to be there. Too often we fall into the habit of listening to people who say, if you are at the 3-month stage in your journey and you feel like this, then you're doing it wrong. No, you are not. Tell those people where to go. We don't need them. Wherever you are, that is okay. I know people who quit smoking and by the end of the week they felt amazing and it was like they'd never smoked a day in their life. I also know people who are a year down the line and still have cravings and still struggle. So yes, like Melissa said, she knows everybody is different. And because of that, it is, there is no set time. It is impossible to have a set time frame of like, you have to be here, you have to be there, you have to be elsewhere. No, you don't. Be wherever you are. If you are still struggling, you might want to use that struggle as a prompt to go and get extra help or support, and that is okay. Reaching out for more support doesn't mean that you are bad, that you are weak, that you are stupid, that you are doing it wrong. It just means that for you, where you are, the thing that you need right now is a little bit of extra help, and that's perfectly okay too. These challenges that we go through, these struggles that we go through, ultimately define who we become when we reach the other side of our smoke-free journey, of our journey to becoming smoke-free, should I say. Like I said, when everybody kept passing away on me, dealt with it without a cigarette. It was challenging, it was tough, it was terrible. But now, it's coming up for 1 year since my nan passed away this month, and I survived that without a cigarette. Now I can survive things, smaller things, because I grew from that experience. I grew from my experiences of struggling to quit smoking, from my experiences with depression and alcoholism, and all those things that we struggle with ultimately give us strength that we can use down the line. So if you are struggling right now, it may be because there is something within you that needs to grow and to develop. And that's a good thing, because that means if you're struggling now, that there's every chance you're going to emerge stronger when you get on the other side of it. So forget about any, excuse me, let's try that again. Forget about any strict timeline. Where you are right now is where you are personally supposed to be. I hope the answers that I've given today have been helpful or just given you something to think about. If you have more questions, you leave them down in the comments below or on the Finding Freedom Facebook group, and I will get to them as soon as I possibly can. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate your support. For more weekly videos like this one, please do consider subscribing. And with that, I'll just say thank you for watching again, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.